Let's make a record player stand. Just like any project where you're using rough sawn lumber, you start off with cutting your pieces down to rough size, doing a little joining, get us a nice straight edge. Get us a nice flat face going through the planer. And don't forget about all those lovely wood chips. So then you get to start actually working on the project. Here I am gluing on some panels. I believe I had about 5 or 6 panels that I had to glue together for this one. Helpful little tip there is to put some painter's tape down on your rails or your clamps. That way that glue doesn't get all gunky in there, and then you got to spend an hour with a wire wheel trying to clean that out. So use a little painter's tape. And here we are sanding, once you take those panels out of the clamps. This little Bosch 6-inch sander hooked up to the back. Man, I tell you, it's a game changer. I still use a respirator just to kind of keep that fine dust down. I do have a couple box fans with some filters attached to the front, around the shop, just to try to keep that down. But, got to do what you got to do. And here we are doing a little bit more sanding. There's one of those crude little box fan with a filter on the front hanging in the ceiling right there. So here I am setting up to lay out for my box joints. I decided early on that I was going to use no mechanical fasteners on this, just because I've never done a project like that. So I'm going to square up a nice straight edge here using the crosscut slide on the table saw, and start laying out for some of these box joints. Never done box joints before, so I didn't really know what size I was going to do or anything like that. I was just kind of winging it. So I probably measured 20 times before I decided exactly what I was going to do. By the way, it's a little cold in the shop today. Let's number out those joints so they all line up when I make the cuts. So here I'm using a jigsaw to cut out these box joints. The reason I did this is because I originally went to go do it on the table saw, and I just felt that I didn't have any control. I didn't feel like it was a safe situation to flip those large panels up on the side like that and try to run them through the table saw. And I guess I probably should have, because my jigsaw didn't really give me a nice fine cut, a nice even cut like I had hoped. So here I am setting up a guide for the router so that I can cut the dado for the middle section, the speaker divider panel. And I actually had to do 2 passes because I needed to get the right width. But I set up this rail or this guide, and it seemed to work just fine. I didn't feel like hunting down my dado blade and tearing apart the table saw and putting it in there for these 2 little passes that I had to do. Got some epoxy on there, fill in some of the holes, knots and things like that. Do a little bit more sanding, and then I get to go into the glue up here. And I pretty much used every clamp and every right angle tool that I had to try to get this thing glued up right and try to keep it nice and square. So here I am sliding in the middle panel in those dados that I made, and gave me a little bit of a hard time. When I did the dry fit, it was pretty snug, and I didn't leave any like extra room. And I know when I added the glue, probably swelled the wood up a little bit, but so it gave me a little bit of a hard time. I had to get out the old mallet. So this is after the glue up, installing the like a vintage 16-inch hairpin legs on the bottom here. And this was the only place where I actually did use a mechanical fastener. I used the provided screws that came with them. I was a little worried at first. I was worried that it was going to be wobbly because there's really not a lot of surface support, I guess. I just felt like the legs might be a little flimsy with the weight of the carcass and everything when you get all the record players and the records and speakers and all that stuff in there. But it actually turned out okay. It seems to have pretty good support. Let's get it ready for staining. Unfortunately, I didn't film any of the staining process, but I just used a rub-on gel stain just to kind of give it a little darker look. And this is a shot of that with no poly or any clear coat or anything on it. And there it is in my daughter's apartment. She added a little LED lights for a little bit of ambiance. Well, that's about it for this video. Thanks for checking it out. Hope you liked it.